All right, let's start with the prisoner swap.
Americans wrongfully detained for years in Iran.
Coinorato version. Thank you for the 25 gifted.
In fact, their plane landed just this morning at Fort Belvoir in Virginia. That's near Washington. After months of secret negotiations to make this happen, the group includes 2 businessmen, an environmentalist, and a former UN worker. Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan looks now at how this deal came together.
I don't get what's happening with the 2 people. Now we know the name of another person. Yeah, the shadow people.
Just before dawn, the 5 newly freed Americans touched down today on U.S. soil.
It means that husbands and wives, fathers and children, grandparents can hug each other again.
Businessman Imad Shargi and environmentalist Murad Tabaz have...
I think because these guys are also like Iranian, that's another reason why the conservatives have no issue just being like, fuck the American government for getting these guys back. You know what I mean? Because, like, I feel like if they were white, you know, bright white, you know what I'm saying? If they were like super fucking white and their names were like Steven and Hank and they were negotiating to get them back, like, the Republican Party would have a harder time being like, fuck the Biden administration for doing this. Fuck you guys. You know what I mean? Like, they were going to do that anyway because, you know, no matter what Brandon does, it's bad, right? Brandon bad. But they will say like, oh, you negotiated with terrorists. Fuck you for doing that. Fuck you for, you know, giving them $6 billion. And it's like, well, it was their $6 billion. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird that they're it's like Iran's own $6 billion. The fact that like South Korea just like bought oil from them and then just didn't pay them because America was like, don't pay these guys. Well, that doesn't change anything, you know? They should have swapped me in. I want to visit Iran so badly. Brother, I feel like if you go as an American citizen, you could just like kind of stay there forever. It seems like they'll keep you. I too want to go to Iran as well. I feel like Iran is very nice. Not the government, but, you know, the people are sick. The country is dope. Kind of shitty. What is this?
Political Propaganda 101 explained. Let's go.
5 Americans illegally detained by Iran are scheduled for release. They're about to come home.
But you don't seem to talk about the 2 that you left behind to be executed.
Wait, what? Family of U.S. resident jailed in Iran outraged over prisoner swap? Oh, no. They didn't get everybody back. Those expressing outrage include the family of Jamshid Sharmat, a prisoner who was not included in the deal. The German Iranian, who also has U.S. residency, was kidnapped in Dubai and sentenced to charges of corruption of earth. Well, I think he's German. That's why. Dude, America does not give a fuck, dude. Look at Jamal Khashoggi. He was Saudi and American. And they were like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, the Saudi government chopped him up. It's fine. What is corruption of earth? What is happening in Iran? Why do they have so many like insane kind of cool charges? You know what I mean? Corruption of earth? What the fuck does that mean?
Broke today that the Biden administration is taking steps to allow for the release of about $6 billion in Iranian money.
Iranian money. You see, that language is cleverly used, but you're not actually giving it back to the Iranian people, are you? You're giving it to the terrorists that they're trying to collapse, not enrich.
Now, doing deals with an adversary like Iran is...
Okay, first of all, I don't agree with that part. It's like, it's their money. What do you mean? Like, what? They're not... The fuck? It's just their money. Like, that part I don't understand. When people are like, oh, I can't believe you're giving money to Iran. It's like, yeah, like, but it's their money. You know what I mean? If you get that charge, they are going to execute you. So what is that charge? I don't even know what that charge is.
Always unsavory.
Doing deals with terrorists doesn't sound as good, does it? And that's how you lose.
Cutting deals with terrorists doesn't sound good. Yeah, well, of course, they designated the entire nation of Iran as terrorists. What are you going to do? Okay, so it's called Mofsed-e Filars or Fasad al-Falars. What is this? Corruption or the title of capital crimes the person is guilty of them in Iran, which have been translated to the English language as spreading corruption on earth. spreading corruption that threatens the political well-being, corrupt of the earth, one who is charged with spreading corruption, gross offenders of the moral order, and enemies of God on earth. Okay, that one seems kind of sick. That's kind of a fire thing. Like, this man is the enemy of God on earth. Is like, that goes fucking hard. I guess it means just a cat. Oh, God. It's such a lame thing, though. But I guess it's if it's just for, like, an indictment of political dissent, then that sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, it's literally the lamest fucking thing with the maximum penalty and the maximum charge. Spreading misinformation on the internet. It goes really hard until you hear that from an Iranian police officer. Brother, I am not going to Iran, so I will not be hearing that from an Iranian police officer at any point, I think. But it says in the criminal code, in 1996, they were adopted. Some changes were made in 2012. Oh, they had... We love criminal justice reform, don't we, folks? Okay. Article 284 of the codes is dedicated to Baghi, armed rebellion, and Afsad-e fil Arz, and was revived by the broadening of those who may be punished by execution. Subject to execution includes whoever engages extensively in commission of widespread crime against masses, crimes against homeland or external security, spreading rumors, and or uttering slander. Wait, what the fuck? Bro. Yo, okay, I'm kind of down for this. Dude. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you slandering me on Twitter? It's time for some Mufsid-e fil Ars for you. You know what I mean? Your Rs is about to get fucking locked up. Spreading hazardous or poisonous substances, financial malfeasance in the affairs of the state, establishing brothels or involvement in their operation, causing extensive disturbance in public order. Dude, I'm canceling Iran for being anti-sex work. Causing security. By the way, this is everything. This literally is like, this is like the meme, the Venezuela meme from Parks and Recreation. It's like, it's basically everything that you can do, like all the fun stuff. You know what I mean? Spreading rumors, doing slander, you're dead. Okay? Causing security risks, spreading hazardous or poisonous substances, you're dead. Anyway, Mehmet Walshoğlu. You're such a fucking idiot. Having a Turkish guy who named himself Mehmet Walshoğlu is just like, if you're Turkish, you shouldn't know about Matt Walsh, okay? Like, you should not know who Matt Walsh is. You're Turkish. This is like extremely online American shit, okay? Why the fuck do you know about, dude, I'm not Turkish, brother. Oh, why'd you name yourself Mehmet Walshoğlu then? Brother, you think this is wild? Salam baradan man Irani hastam. Oh. Yes, I'm an Ameribu like you. Brother, you think this is wild? I was detained by the Iranian police once. They just arrest you for bad vibes, man. I'm dead serious. Because I love the name, man. That is like, your brain is so fucking broken, dude. I'm sorry. Your brain is so fucking broken. Motherfucker's name is Mehmet Walshoğlu, who he's like, he cares about what's going on in like the intricacies of American politics. Anyway, so, brother, you've made Mehmet Walshoğlu jokes before. I know, it's just still funny to see someone who's not American, I guess, have that name. So that's wild. The charges are pretty wild. I mean, they seem pretty sick. Like, they seem like a very cool name for something that just means like something that ranges from like poisoning people to just lying. I feel like there should be different punishments, or at least like a different criminal code for each of those individual acts. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, did you lie, or did you? They look up the criminal code and they're like, it says here that you may have lied or spread hazardous material to the public to kill them. You know what I mean? Okay.
Who's your audience?
But Joe Biden is making the release of American hostages a priority. That's a good thing.
Joe Biden, okay, so he is introduced here as a savior in this language, is making the release of American hostages a priority. That's interesting because some of these hostages have been there since 2015 when you had the last nuclear deal, and nobody seems to have cared about them until now when it's time to have the next nuclear.
Like, what does she want? Does she want, like, America to not facilitate a denuclearization deal with Iran? Like, I don't understand this part. Like, what the fuck's happening here? Okay, I don't care about this. Let's just watch the actual propaganda.
Been prisoners since 2018, held on what the U.S. considers trumped-up charges. Shargi's family said his freedom meant...
Yeah, the Iranians that we had, though, in America, not trumped-up charges. Like, one of those guys was arrested for selling or trying to send laboratory equipment, okay? Which is also insane. I'm not saying these guys are, like, definitely agents, and that's why it was totally morally just for them to be apprehended by the Iranian government, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I feel like at this point, Iran is just like, oh, are you an American citizen? Oh, cool, okay, well, you know, maybe you should come with us for a little bit. Let's see. People 100% say this is bullshit because they're Iranian American and not American American. I think that's part of it, yeah. There are certain wealthy Iranians who would literally rather have Iran nuked than have the existing government continue. Yeah, I mean, I know that there is, like, a lot of people who are, like, they do the classic, like, my people yearn for freedom. Please, we must nuke Iran. But overall, what the fuck? Overall, it's like it's just these guys get caught up in this scheme as a political pawn.
It was the first time in years that they felt light in their homes. 3 other American prisoners and 2 family members accompanied them Monday on a Qatar Airways flight for Doha, where they were handed over to U.S. custody. For 51-year-old businessman Siamak Namazi, that
Here's the thing, bro. I'm not going to Iran unless, like, the government is, you know, 100% giving me assurances and I'm going as, like an envoy or something, okay? Like, let's be fucking real. There's no, like, tourism opportunity happening for me there, okay? As much as I would love to, it's another place. And I would say the same about China, too, okay? Straight up. I love China. Would love to visit. Definitely want to go to China, but I am not fucking going unless I have, like, 1, a visa, and 2, I'm going with, like, people that know what the fuck is up and have at least some level of, like, you know, political power. Anthony Bourdain went to both, yeah, but it's a little bit different. You'd be fine in China with the fuck law. I just don't want to. I don't want to. You know, I've said some stuff about Xinjiang that I worry will reach the wrong. Jake is in China right now chilling. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the same. I'm a different person, okay? Hello? I'm a little bit different than Jake and Bake Live as far as, like, commentary and shit goes. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different. I don't understand why the Chinese tourism department give people like you free trips to China is good promo. I think so. It's insane that you think they would arrest an American citizen for their speech. I don't think they would. From what I understand, I've talked to a lot of people. And they say that it's just like if something is flagged, they just won't give you a visa. You know what I mean? There's no, like, issue with you, like, going to China and being apprehended or anything, but you know, it's just like they just won't offer you a visa. Like, you can go to the Chinese embassy and try to get a visa, and if they say no, that means you can't go. There's someone in the chat named Trap Advisor, and he says you should definitely not go. What? You need to show them how to speak truth about Shen Yun. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go to fucking relax. Literally, no one in China knows anything about you. They would definitely arrest Dr. Disrespect before you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I'd be a little bit concerned as well. I wanted to give, like, I would just be concerned. That's it's not to the same degree.
Flight ended an 8-year ordeal.
And it's, a day for celebration. But tomorrow begins the rest of his life. And it's going to be a long journey towards recovery.
In exchange for the release, President Biden granted 5 Iranian nationals clemency. 2 were turned to open stretched arms of loved ones in Tehran late Monday. 2 remained in the U.S., and a 5th joined family in another country, according to Iranian officials. In addition, the regime will have access to $6 billion worth of unfrozen Iranian oil assets held in a restricted account in Qatar.
But that's my biggest problem with it, is not that the Americans are coming home, is that now elements all over the world realize we can get something in exchange for Americans. Let's take some.
The Biden
no, that's not the case at all. Most of these countries are understandably fucking terrified of the American government, and they're not going to also disrupt the economic process that they have, especially if they're engaging with the United States of America, China included. Okay? So that is an insane take. Iran, on the other hand, is not a country that has any relations with the United States of America. And that is not entirely their fault. I think that is entirely America's fault. I will stand by that. As much as I criticize the Iranian government as much as I can from fucking where I'm standing, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Oh my God, they're a theocracy. They're authoritarian. They're corrupt. It's like, yeah, no shit. They're reactionary. I get it. But it's entirely in the hands of the United States to normalize these relations. We've done it before. And yet, it's great to have them as like this permanent enemy. Especially because they're not even our enemy. They're the enemy of our allies, okay? Israel and Saudi Arabia, to name 2 of our major allies in the region. That's the most frustrating aspect of this, because Iran has quite literally been duking it out with Sunni extremists in the region for the longest fucking time, okay? Also, at times when there were major embargoes and blockades implemented on Iran, it's not like America wasn't allowing them to participate in the global marketplace. They were just utilizing Turkey as the country to allow them to participate in the global marketplace. They would just like traffic their trade through Turkish routes so that, it wasn't directly allowed, but it was like happening through Turkey. Which is great, because then you can just like you can use that always as a criminal prosecution against the Turkish government as well. So I don't know. It's stupid. It's silly. Like, normalize relations with Iran, okay?
Administration insists the U.S. Treasury will be able to ensure the funds are only used for humanitarian purposes like food and medicine.
We have the means and mechanisms to make sure that happens.
The next stop for the freed Americans is a U.S. military facility in the D.C. area for medical support to prepare them to once again be free persons. For CBS Mornings, I'm Margaret Brennan in Washington.
Joined now by top National Security Council.
John Kirby's here to talk to the deal with Iran to free the 5 Americans, dude. Yeah, I mean, this is not a bad thing. For my 2 cents, let's not normalize relations with fascists. I know, America would never normalize relations with fascists or literally build fascist dictatorships globally, especially as a cudgel against, like, social democratic changes happening in a fucking country. You're right. In the history of the United States of America, if we look at America's foreign policy and America's involvement globally, we have infinitely more markers on the other side of that spectrum, okay? We still are aligned with not only like fascist or authoritarian dictatorships, okay?
Spokesman John Kirby. John, thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Again this morning. What more can you tell us about the reunion?
Well, they just landed on U.S. soil early this morning. So they're going to be at a military facility in Virginia for a little while. We want to make sure that they have access to mental and medical health care, whatever they need. And then obviously they're going to be reunited with their families here very, very soon.
What more do you know about what they do need? I know that one of the hostages had been dealing with cancer. Another one reportedly had been beaten.
Yeah, I mean, they were in Avon prison, one of the most abhorrent, abominable places to be, treated.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, see, this is, fuck, man. This shit frustrates me so much. It's like, yeah, I know, that prison probably sucks. You know what other prisons suck that we know of? American prisons, dog. What the fuck are you saying? Like, oh, it's the worst place to be on the planet. You know, other than like, I don't know, Angola. Okay. And no, I don't mean Angola like the country. I don't mean Angola in Africa. I mean Angola in Louisiana, the Louisiana State Penitentiary that's named after the same plantation that it stands on. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck. These guys, man, they're really fucked up, dude. It's one of the worst places to be, dude. One of the worst places to be. Okay.
Very, very badly by the Iranians. So, look, the initial reports we have are relatively good health, but we want to make sure that they get all the care that they need, and they'll have access to that care for as long as they need.
Canceling the State Department for using a private jet in this affair because of their carbon footprint. Let's talk about the real issues facing society, okay? Sweaty, a PJ? Not great.
Each one will be individual. Of course, what they're dealing with is obviously individualistic, and we'll just make sure that they've got that care.
You know, the administration is facing a fair amount of criticism. We saw Senator Mitch McConnell right there says this is going to embolden Iran, encourage more hostage taking.
So look, the regime.
Whataboutism, lol. What? This guy got so horny to say whataboutism that he couldn't even fucking write it correctly. Listen, man, I'm a whataboutist, okay? I'm gonna do whataboutisms all the time. All right. You want to know why? Because everybody knows the situation in Iran fucking sucks. Using it to cut propaganda against as an American top brass official is fucking psychotic when it literally happens here, and we are supposed to, because we're not like Iran, we're not supposed to be like a theocratic state, an oppressive theocratic state. We're supposed to be able to chirp about it. So why the fuck are you defending the American regime in here? By saying whataboutism. We've already established that, yeah, the situation in Iran, not great, sucks, okay? I hate that shit. Whenever people go, you're doing whataboutism, it's like, why? Why do you care? Like, what do you mean, whataboutism? What the fuck do you mean? I'm an American. I live in America. Is this a fucking dictatorship? Can I say that shit sucks here? Okay? Without a bunch of fucking State Department dick riders coming in and being like, ha, got him.
And Tehran has been taking American hostages and foreign hostages for 40 some odd years. And this is a tactic they've used in the past. It is different.
Wait, what? You're gaining traction in Chinese YouTube called Bilibili, by the way? Shut the fuck up. Are you serious? There's no way this is real. What? That traction? This has got 709 views, man. I'm getting no traction.
Difficult to say what this is going to mean for the future, except to say that we're going to continue to put pressure on the Iranian regime. We're not going to turn a blind eye to their destabilizing behavior, and we're certainly not going to turn a blind eye to the potential for additional hostage taking. That's why the State Department has a new designation for Iran, a D designation, so that Americans, if you're going to go there, you need to understand that risk. Now, obviously, we strongly urge.
We changed the designation of traveling to Iran. If you go there, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get arrested. Okay, you're gonna become a political token. You're gonna become a political pawn.
Americans not to go to Iran and not to be in Iran, particularly if you're a dual national. So look, we're not turning a blind eye to anything that Iran's doing in the region, including this.
Why do you think Iran made this deal now?
It's difficult to know why now. I would tell you that this was months in the making. So I would be careful to sort of peg this to some date on the calendar or some recent event. This is really was months and months and months in the making. It all came together here just this month.
And not a sign that the relationship with Iran is going to change in any significant way?
No, I don't think so. Look, this was about getting our Americans home. It was not about trying to ping it to the nuclear deal or to ping it to other behavior by Iran. As a matter of fact, George, last Friday we designated some additional Iranian entities for the way they treat their protesters. And just yesterday, we designated more entities for.
Well, how do you respond to people that say having better relations with Iran would enable their oppression? Yeah, that's an idiotic assessment, because it's the same energy as if we increase the minimum wage, then inflation is going to be out of control. It's like, has it stopped the oppression so far? We've only made matters worse. It's actually the exact opposite in this case, okay? It's literally the exact fucking opposite. The more America squeezes the Iranian population with hopes that they will be able to inevitably rise up against the Iranian government and like have a full-scale revolution or whatever the fuck, okay? The more they do that, the more Iran can just say, look, these Western dogs are starving you, and there's truth to that matter, okay? The entire reason why the Iranian administration looks the way it currently does is due to America's interventions in Iran to begin with. Okay? That's it. So looking at the situation and going, "Oh, the same thing that we're doing that has like been happening since the beginning, we should keep doing that and expect different results," is so silly when our intervention is the reason why Iran is the way it is currently. When America gets involved in your affairs, the more reactionary forces, I said this about Russia and Ukraine as well, okay? When a foreign nation comes into your country and gets involved in your affairs, you end up enabling the hardliners, the fascists, the reactionaries, the hyper-nationalists, the ultra-nationalists as people who others look to for salvation. Okay, you embolden their position, you justify their existence, you create an environment where like they are the guys who are supposed to defend you from Western military intervention. Okay? And that is precisely what happened in Iran. Isolating North Korea from the rest of the planet has made them a beacon of democracy. Exactly. Totally.
Or wrongful detention. So we are still going to put sanctions on Iran as appropriate. We have boosted our military presence in the Gulf region. We're still working to stymie the Iranian behavior in the Gulf and beyond.
Another American being held overseas, Evan Gershkovich, the Wall Street Journal reporter in Moscow, appearing in court this morning. What more do we know about his situation?
We're still working very, very hard to get him released, as well as Paul Whelan, who has been obviously in jail now for many, many years in Russia. Unfortunately, I wish I had good news on this front, but I don't. Both of these gentlemen are wrongfully detained. Both are.
That sucks so bad, dude. I mean, this dude getting clapped. I mean, that's
being charged with espionage, which is of course a ridiculous charge, but it is indicative of how where the Russians put them in terms of detainees. So we're going to keep working this.
John Kirby, thanks very much.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
What is this? Ah, yes. The reason the Iranian government is murdering, torturing people is because Czechs knows they're being told to do so by America. I'm Iranian. I lived it and I've seen it up close. But thanks for your condescension. Yes, you're right. America had no interest or involvement in Mossadegh being dethroned, okay? Which then was seen as a move by the entirety of Iran as unjust, which then turned around and created a reactionary movement, a reactionary force of fundamentalists that were propped up and took control over the entire government. I see, this is what's incredibly fucking frustrating, okay? This is what's incredibly frustrating about this take, because I never said America is the reason why Iran is, like, torturing people, because America directly told Iran to torture people. You fucking idiot. You dumbass. You absolute baboon. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is, like, why can't you have a normal fucking conversation where you engage in, like, a little bit of fucking critical thinking? Okay? So double down on the condescension. Are you talking to me or are you talking to him? Every single fundamentalist country in the Middle East is more reactionary after American involvement versus where they were in the 60s or the 70s or in the 50s in the case of Iran. Okay? They were more progressive. They were making moves to implement social democratic provisions, sometimes even communist ones. Sometimes those communists obviously were fucking insane and violent, like in the case of Afghanistan. Okay? But the notion that, like, these countries are all reactionary shitholes because, like, they just have reactionary people take control over the country out of nowhere is so silly. I hate that, like, the funniest new things, you literally reduce everything in Iran to being rooted in America's actions. Yeah, dude. I know what you want me to say. You want me to say they're bad because they're bad guys, okay? Like it's a fucking Marvel movie. I hate this fucking take, dude. It is so profoundly fucking stupid. And this is the new, I'm sorry, the debate perverts online who love American interventions and try to like justify it or normalize it have taken up the same the same stylistic choices that like anti-interventionists and anti-imperialists use in this regard. They literally say like, well, you know, the foreign adversary is actually doing imperialism, which is why it's okay when we do imperialism. Okay? I hate that. I hate that so much. And one of the things that they use is, this is an Ameribrain take, which Ameribrain is my fucking word. You can't use that against me. That's number one. Number two, it's not saying America's involvements and literally even liking it and comparing it to Ukraine and Russia, okay, and saying that irredentist or imperialist actions oftentimes embolden reactionary forces, okay, often embolden reactionary forces is not an incorrect take. It is a historically accurate take of what happened in fucking Iran. Okay? You can't use my commentary against me to fucking be like, no, actually, you're so America-centric in your fucking commentary. Because the alternative is the dumbest thing you've ever heard, which is, oh, Iran is bad because they're Muslim fundamentalists. That's why. It's the Islamic extremism that just, happened out of nowhere. Like it just kind of materialized on its own. And Islam is bad, and that's why they're doing it. And just like every other Muslim country is bad. I'm Iranian. I know firsthand, right? That's what you want me to say? Is that what you want? You literally reduce everything in Iran to being rooted in America's actions? Of course I do that, because it's fucking important. And because you can't fucking argue on the basis of America's involvement in intervention in Iran, okay? You have to turn around and say, yeah, America is in the fucking in the corner telling Iranian leadership to be fucking gruesome. Okay? That's what I said, right? What are you, fucking baby-brained? Are you that stupid? That's the best straw man you could come up with? It's so entirely stupid. America has 800 military bases around the world. It's so shocking that they have their hands in every fucking pocket. Okay? It's so crazy. It's so crazy how that happened. They welcomed us as liberators. That's why it happened, right? All around the fucking world. Anyway. So how do you explain why America is bad then? You don't seem to use any external factors there. Because the external factors that I'm utilizing or in this situation talking about are still rooted in material realities. The reason why America is bad is also rooted in the same material realities. America is an endlessly expansionist nation that literally expanded internally originally to create the fucking continent that you know as the United States of America, basically half of the fucking continent, the North American continent. Okay? It was built around the fundamentals of indigenous genocide and defending white supremacist chattel slavery. It was endless resource extraction. And that's why that expansion in the West literally was at the foundation of the American society being designed. It also came from Western colonial powers, or at least their ancestors were, British colonial powers that went and did that same colonialism over indigenous people that all of the other European powers had done in Latin America and in North America as well. So ultimately, America's cultural attitude and America's global hegemonic power and how we got here is also still rooted in a materialist analysis. It's just that when we talk about other countries, it's impossible not to engage in some kind of dialectic where the United States of America is not involved in their affairs. Okay? So white people are inherently evil is not what I said. And that is such an idiotic assessment. Why do people come in here to try to have this kind of debate when they just like make shit up? Are you listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? There is no inherent evil. We are talking about dialectical materialism. There's no inherent evil in that situation. Okay? It's action and reaction. Let's continue.
Hey everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC.
We're going to talk about Canada in a second. But as far as the situation in Iran goes, I mean, I tried to look at like who the prisoners we released were on our end. And one of them was like engaged in nuclear engineering. That looks great, Mom. One of them was engaged in nuclear engineering. The other one was like fucking trying to bring in laboratory equipment. Those were the guys who were imprisoned. And ultimately, I mean, like I said, it just doesn't, like, this is not a bad thing at all. I don't know why the fuck people would try to say that this is like a bad negotiation. Especially if they turn around and partner this up with some kind of denuclearization agreement again. I mean, it'd be great. Normalizing relations with Iran would be great. This would be good for the Iranian people in general. The idea that this would like embolden the regime is fucking stupid. The Iranian regime has only used embargoes to their advantage, blockades to their advantage, and have continued their oppressive rule, okay? Because you can justify it to a big chunk of the population when they can feel the Western influence in their country. Okay? Anyway, would be low-key if Biden normalized a new deal with Iran and then Trump was elected and pulled the football away again. That would be not so funny, in my opinion. Okay? People think that sanctions matter to the dictators in Iran or Syria. Only casualty is innocent, normal civilians. Yes. And we're very open about it as well. I mean, collective punishment is the name of the game here. Sanctions are collective punishment on a people that do not deserve it. Okay? They don't deserve it. And the idea is like, well, you know, you kind of do deserve it because you just live there. You know, you chose to live there. It's like, well, they didn't really choose to live there. But the hope is that like it will create so much economic instability and economic volatility that they turn around and rise up against their oppressive authoritarian government. And it's a silly take, a silly perspective that can possibly work with America's allies, but it can't work with America's foreign adversaries because America's foreign adversaries rely on America crushing them or attacking them so they can remain in an antagonistic position. Look at Erdogan. Okay? Erdogan is America's lapdog. He's literally in New York right now. Okay? He has done the bidding of NATO from the jump. Has he used it to his advantage to at the very least get like more favorable opportunities, more favorable coverage that makes him look like he has an antagonistic position with NATO, like he's the big mediator? Absolutely. But ultimately, he will do whatever the fuck America wants him to do. But he can always go back to Turkey and show himself like he is actually the guy who is fighting against Western involvement. There's a reason why in countries like this, oppressive, authoritarian, reactionary forces regularly galvanize their base of support by placing themselves in an antagonistic position against the United States of America and Western imperialism and Western imperialists. So when you fucking turn around and justify that and legitimize that through sanctions or through direct boots on the ground military involvement, like all you're doing is making the situation worse for the people. They're suffering. You're playing a role in continuing their suffering. And also on top of that, you're giving a major talking point to the authoritarian reactionary forces that already control every aspect of people's lives there. Okay? It's incredibly stupid.
Clear deal. So it's an interesting time to make your American hostages a priority. Biden definitely did prioritize some hostages while leaving other hostages behind, but I wouldn't brag about that one.
It's also important for you not to believe the hype about the impact of the release of these Iranian dollars.
Iranian dollars, that's a new.
Why don't more dictators choose a lapdog role like Erdogan? Well, the lapdog role is kind of like Hungary, okay? Viktor Orban. Okay, Viktor Orban is like a better example, a more interesting example because like European lapdog to the West, right? Viktor Orban relies on EU to exist, okay? He relies on EU and he relies on the European economic engine to continue having any economy whatsoever. But he also is like, oh, I'm anti-West. I'm anti-Western influence. Like, or even Bolsonaro, like these are guys who, well, Bolsonaro never has actually poo-pooed Western imperialism at all. He's just like an open fascist. But my point is, there are plenty of people who claim that they're like anti-Western influence while simultaneously receive favorable trade deals and receive all of the positive aspects of being in the imperial core, okay, or being in the sphere of Western influence. So it's really silly to act like these guys have a choice in the matter, just like the Iranian leadership does not have a choice in the matter of being friendly with America, okay? They can't because America does not offer them that opportunity. Does that make sense? They can't offer, there's no world in which America's like, yeah, we'll normalize relations with you guys. Okay? Orban is a cinema for EU politics. He serves to be a complete ass to brick the European Parliament. Yeah.
One. Different countries actually have different currencies. I've never heard of an Iranian dollar. But this language is again cleverly tailored to remind you that you should give it back to the people of Iran, except that it just doesn't go to the people of Iran.
The Biden administration took pains to make sure that this money is not going to be freely available to the Iranian regime. That money is only used for humanitarian purposes. That means it's used to buy food and medicine.
We're told that it's for humanitarian purposes, food and medicine. Do you believe you have the right to use that money in any way that you see fit?
This money belongs to the Islamic Republic of Iran.
He's not wrong.
Naturally, the Islamic Republic of Iran will decide to spend it wherever we need it.
At the end of the day, none of that matters because, as we've said time and time again, money.
Brother, it's their money. Like, what are we doing? It's their fucking money, dog. Like, what a ridiculous fucking take.
Is fungible.
And that it's not used to fund the Iranian military. That's a real.
This is literally just them saving face, okay? It's a good deal overall, considering that it's their own fucking money that they're getting back. And both sides in this circumstance are playing the role of saving face. The Iranian government is, of course, going to say that because they're supposed to say that because it is their money. The American government is saying we are making not just like, we're not just getting assurances from the Iranian government, but we're making it so that it's like trapped in a bank account that we have control over so we can see where the money is spent. Because like the money is not going directly into Iranian pockets or the Iranian government as it's supposed to. It's going to like a bank in Doha that has like pretty stringent rules on where you can take that money and where you can spend that money on. So the money probably won't be utilized as efficiently on like weapons or whatever the fuck Americans are terrified Iran is going to do. Okay. But it is, I don't know. It's just like very stupid conversation overall. It's a good thing that, there was a prison swap. It's a good thing if we normalize relations with Iran. These are all good things across the board.
Really important concession.
What?
Worked out by the Biden administration.
Worked out by the Biden.
How did the money get frozen in the first place? Iran sold in 2019 $6 billion worth of oil to South Korea. Because South Korea is an American client state, America turned to them and said, it's not legal anymore to do that. We're freezing that money. And so South Korea was like, oops, our hands are tied. We have now frozen the $6 billion that we were supposed to give you because America won't let us pay you.
Administration. Neatly timed, carefully scripted, enter a bad thing, enter a solution, say the name of the person that you want to attribute the solution to in order to cognitively group a good thing with that.
Okay, I hate this kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. This analysis is ridiculous. All right, let's move away from Iran now to, and I also don't know why people are fucking chirping about this. I don't really understand it, but I guess, you got to do what you got to do. To India.
India has.
So sorry. Okay, we're going to talk about India expelling the Canadian diplomat from Canada as the Sikh murder row escalates. Okay. This is big drama. Big drama in the Indian Canada relations.
Has expelled a senior Canadian diplomat as relations between the two countries worsen over allegations by the Canadians that Indian agents might have been involved in the murder of a Canadian Sikh activist. Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shot dead outside a temple in British Columbia less than 3 years after he was designated a terrorist by India. A statement from the Indian Foreign Ministry described the allegations they'd been behind his death as absurd and motivated. Earlier, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told Parliament he'd raised the issue with his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi at the recent G20 summit.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada is a rule of law country. The protection of our citizens and defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. Our top priorities have therefore been, one, that our law enforcement and security agencies ensure the continued safety of all Canadians, and two, that all steps be taken to hold perpetrators of this murder to account. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms.
Let's go live now to Mumbai, where we can speak to our South Asia correspondent, Yogita Lamaya. Yogita, thank you so much for joining us. Just remind us of the details of this case, the background to it.
So Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shot dead on the 18th of June by two masked gunmen outside a Sikh temple in the Canadian province of British Columbia. He was...
It's wild that, like, I guess the more material conditions improve in like these other nations that have been aligned with the Western world, the more they recognize that they can just like kind of get away with doing unhinged shit. And the more you see stuff like this, where like India's like pulling a Saudi Arabia here, kind of, where they're like, yeah, no, what are you gonna do? We're we are your China, if you like, I don't know how to describe it other than they can kind of get away. I mean, I don't know if they can be able to get away with this in America. I guess they possibly could. I cover Indian news on my Twitch channel, and many people in this chat can vouch for me my take. It's very likely that the Modi government is behind this 100%. The reason is the guy was a sick separatist sympathizer that left India. That being said, what India did is completely unjustifiable whatsoever. Also, India wasn't super aligned with the Western world because they're also very aligned with Russia. No, India is utilizing their India is making the most out of this opportunity by, maximizing on good energy deals that they can get with Russia. They get to live the best of both worlds in this situation. India as a economic engine, in my opinion, and I might be wrong on this, is seemingly the neoliberal alternative to China's communist influence, right? Like, in the eyes of the American government, in the eyes of like imperialist forces, they look at India and they go, all right, we have China on the one hand, and that's a terrifying prospect. We have India on the other, who is like a growing, developing economy, and they are much more favorably aligned with our interests. But India, much like, I guess, Turkey in some respects, is basically enjoying the best of both worlds in this circumstance because they are seen as like the neoliberal, massively developing nation that a lot of people want to make money off of. And by that, I mean like every Western capitalist wants to make money off of the Indian market. Okay? They get to enjoy the best of both worlds in that situation where they can have decent relations with Russia and take advantage of that. The West needs India to keep buying Russian gas and oil to pretend they are not violating their own sanctions so India realize they can get away with more and more shit. Yeah. He was a terrorist who was supported by Canada. There are a lot of videos of that guy training other Khalistani terrorists with AK-47s. Okay, so I guess you could just, like, assassinate someone then. Got it. Like, that's nuts. Bro, what are we talking about? I literally fucking criticized Barack Obama for extrajudicial killings of American citizens overseas. You know what I mean? Why the fuck would that be allowed if Modi's government does it? India is becoming America's China, but with Western characteristics? Yes. That's what the West is trying to do. They're trying to weaponize India's tense relationship with China, but I don't think it's going to work 100% because India has its own imperialist ambitions. Well, I get criticizing India, but please can you ban the racist chatters? Mods aren't doing anything either, but fall for the ad break. What? That is really fucked up. The organization he represents has killed thousands of Indians over 40 years. Okay. None of what you're saying justifies a fucking assassination, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? Every single argument that you are making is like listening to Donald Rumsfeld for some reason, but this time from like the Donald Rumsfeld India version, okay? Desi Rumsfeld. Also, you assassinated me with that ad segue. What the fuck? That was a deranged ass ad segue. Anyway, where were we? I love when you talk about India because I always tell my Indian girlfriend your takes and she mauls. Okay, well, don't do that. I don't like how we keep saying, I'm not going to say Iran are the bad guys and turn around and say, no, I literally said, I'm not saying the Iranian government are the good guys. I think you misunderstood what I was saying. Okay. Anyway, at the top of the hour, this is 3-minute ad break. A lot of people are going to hound the guy that was killed because he's pro-Khalistan, and both the Indian National Congress literally did a genocide against Sikhs, and the current administration views the Sikhs as anti-Hindus and likes what Indira Gandhi did in 1984 as well. Yeah. As far as I understand it, the current Indian government has no love for anyone that is not just, a Modi supporter, whether it be Muslims, the massive purges that have occurred against Muslims in India. You have to be Hindu, you have to be Hindu and be engaged in some level of Hindu nationalism. No good grace is allowed for Muslims. No good grace is allowed for Sikhs. Not all Sikhs are Khalistanis, please. Would you criticize the USA for killing bin Laden in Pakistan? Plus, this has little to do with Modi. Even the Liberal Congress hates the Khalistanis as well. They literally assassinated living PM Indira Gandhi. I knew I knew Schadenfreude was gonna chirp about this. I knew it was coming. Okay. Aynı TR argümanlar aynen evet. Herkes aynı. Amerika'nın dışında olan herkes aynı. Amerika'da da aynı şeyi yapıyorlar canım. Oh. I did not realize that there was going to be this was going to be a heated debate in this community, at least, like Khalistan and the Canadian Indian relations. You know what I mean? I didn't realize that this was going to pop the fuck off. You somehow way too many Indian neolibs and a few fascists in your chat. Arun Anna has good takes, though. I can vouch. There's way more to it than that. The only people that benefit from Hindu nationalism are specifically upper caste North Indian Brahmins. I thought this would be a non-story. I thought so too, but you know, let's continue.
He was a prominent Sikh leader and he publicly campaigned for a separate homeland for Sikhs in the Punjab region of India. Now, that's the reason why India had issues with him, with everyone who's a part of this movement called as the Khalistan movement, which is campaigning for the separate homeland. India sees it as a challenge to its territorial integrity and its sovereignty. And it's this has been one of the big reasons why ties between Canada and India have been strained for a while now. We saw that here at the G20 summit, frosty ties between the two countries. Justin Trudeau didn't attend the president's dinner for all of the heads of state and heads of government who were here. And even during his meeting, the photograph of him with Prime Minister Modi, lots of analysts looking at that said that it showed, it displayed, just how frosty those ties have become.
It's important to note, isn't it, that Canada has a very sizable population of Sikhs, and that this is potentially why India would have looked towards the activities in Canada with the focus that it has done.
That's right. And India today in its statement is accusing Canada, saying that the statement that Prime Minister Trudeau is making is an attempt to shift focus from long-standing concerns that India has had of people residing in Canada, indulging in what India describes as anti-India activities. Of course, in addition to
the CBC video on the Khalistan movement in BC, Trudeau is just mad at India because he's sick. Yeah. He is. He's secretly, simultaneously Cuban and also sick at the same time.
India is emerging as a new world superpower.
India will be the third largest economy soon.
Canada and India have an active extradition treaty, probably an important note for the story. Yeah, but as far as I understand, India tried to get Hardeep Singh Nijjar, but they refused to give him. But I assume that there's more details to that story. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's allegations against India in connection with the killing of wanted Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in June has sparked fresh tensions between the two countries. Trudeau on Monday said that there could be a link between the agents of the Indian government and Nijjar's killing. His statement led to the expulsion of an Indian diplomat from Canada. Nijjar, the chief of Khalistan Tiger Force, was shot dead outside of Gurdwara by two unidentified assailants. According to the Global, Nijjar moved to Canada in 1997 using a fake passport. His refugee claim was rejected, following which he married a woman who sponsored him for immigration, which too was rejected. Later, Trudeau referred to him as a Canadian in the House of Commons, the Global reported. Okay, well, I guess he's Canadian then. He was declared a designated terrorist by India in 2020. According to the security agencies, Nijjar was actively involved in recruiting and training people for the banned terrorist outfit, KTF. He was also a part of the separatist outfits for Sikhs for Justice, which held a Khalistan referendum on September 10th. Over the years, India has had several times communicated its concerns about Nijjar's links to terrorist activities. Abi kafayı yiyeceğim ya. Sorup duruyor gerizekalı hala. Mülteşerle ilgili konuşur musun? Mülteşerle ilgili konuşur musun? Sikeceğim ama belanı ha. Yeter ha, Allah Allah. Konuşmuyoruz şu anda onunla ilgili. Başka bir şeyden bahsediyorum bütün sabah. Allah Allah. Ne alaka? Amına koyayım, nereden geliyorsunuz yani? Nereden? Anyway. Over the years, India had several times communicated its concerns about Nijar's links to terrorist activities. In 2018, former Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh handed over a list of wanted persons to Justin Trudeau with Nijar's name included. Then in 2022, the Punjab police sought the extradition as he was wanted in cases relating to spreading terrorism in the state. He was wanted in several cases, including the 2007 blast that killed 6 and injured 42 in the city of Ludhiana in Punjab. In 2010, the Punjab police filed a case against the Khalistani terrorist for his alleged role in the bomb blast near the temple in Patiala. UK-based Paramit Singh Pamma, another wanted terrorist, was one of the main accused in the case. In 2015, another case was filed against Nijar and his alleged role in targeting Hindu leaders, and yet another case was lodged against him in 2016 pertaining to his alleged involvement in the training and funding of Mandeep Dhaliwal and hatching a conspiracy to kill Hindu leaders. A lookout circular and red corner notice were also issued against them. But I guess the Canadian government was like, nope, he's Canadian. We're protecting him. I don't really know why. The nations that chase and neutralize his enemies, even on foreign lands, are feared and admired by everyone. Israel is a fine example. Very happy and proud to see my country in the same league. Dude, yo, India is crazy, dude. They're going bananas mode a little bit. They're getting nutty with it. I mean, this is literally what I would expect from like an Israeli, like a Israeli far right hyper nationalist. You know what I mean? Who would be like, yes, we executed someone on U.S. soil. What the fuck are you gonna do about it? Type shit. It's pretty wild. Modi's India is fast replicating Israel and how it views itself as a global bastion of progressivism, when in fact it's where fascistic Hindutva violence is systematized to repress minorities at home and is also exported wherever it pleases to eliminate those deemed threats to it. Yeah. Idiot? Doctora? Yeah, of course. This is pretty wild. This is wild stuff. India is Turkish coded law. I mean, that too. It's like when Saudi Arabia threatened to 9/11 Canada for talking shit. Yeah, I know. Canada catches a lot of L's from like America's supposed allies. Okay. You underestimated the prevalence of Hindutva, Hindu nationalism amongst common people. Wait, what do you mean underestimated? No, I don't think it's underestimated at all. The topic of Khalistan is way more nuanced than many Indian chatters are trying to make it out to be. No one is defending the Khalistan movement. Also, you don't understand how crazy Indian news gets. I could melt every chatter's brains with some of the headlines. We've seen some of them. They do get nutty with it over there. You have no idea about Indian history and the ground reality. You are looking at the issue through a Western lens. If you're interested and want to know more, come to India and investigate the real issue. These separatist movements are funded mostly by Pakistan. And one more thing, the Khalistani never asked for the Pakistan side Punjab. They only want the Indian side Punjab. Come to India to investigate. Brother, I haven't even said anything like out of pocket. You know what I mean? Beyond just like basic shit. Like if the way I'm looking at this is not dissimilar to like if China were to just like assassinate some fucking guy in Canada, okay? And they were like, sorry, this guy is a Uyghur separatist, okay? And we assassinated him. Like, that would lead to an insane, like, collapse of the current order, okay? And my analysis in that situation, despite the fact that I'm, Xi's top soldier and the biggest China simp, would be quite similar to this. And it's not like I have love for the BJP in general. Here we go again with funded by Pakistan, baseless, no proof, just hateful. Chat is legit insane. You've been asking questions for 20 minutes. Yeah, I have made zero fucking statements that, like, I've made very little statements at all. Khalistan wants independence in similar ways the Kurdish people want independence. It's just the Kurdish people are more useful tool to the West than Sikhs. Why does India get a pass when China probably wouldn't for doing this? I've already explained the reasons as to why. Because India is our China, kind of. I mean, they're a developing market. There's a lot of money to be made. There is a lot of money to be made in India. India recognizes that. They use that they use their unique position when they're also actively engaged in conflicts in Kashmir against Pakistan, and actively engaged in border conflicts with China at the same time as well. And they have their own, as Arun mentioned, they have their own personal imperial ambitions. It's an emerging market. There's a lot of money to be made there. It's massive. There's a lot of history there. So they're kind of utilizing their developing marketplace and the economic interest that the West has in there. The Sanghis are coming out and they're so mad. That, my friend, is what we call a Sanghi or Indian hog. Really? I mean, it's cool. I see it a lot. Like, I see it online a lot. There's a lot of people who get very upset. I know that, like, Indians love tweeting. They are big fans of Twitter. India is a little like China. If China never engages in socialism and government intervention in the country's development, sorta, yeah. No one in Punjab gives a crap about Khalistan. Only shows up when Pakistan has some change left. I'm begging IMF for Canadian terrorist involvement. What? The farmers' union that protested the farm bills last year are against the Khalistan movement, even though the Indian... Okay, the only reason why I know a little bit about this separatist movement is quite literally because I had to research it a little bit when the Indian government was claiming that the communist farmers' movement comprised, in a big chunk, a big part of the movement was comprised of Sikhs as well, was declared a separatist pro-Khalistan movement by the Indian government, if I'm not mistaken at the time. Didn't they literally say that the demands being made from the farmers were actually unreasonable and that they were certainly on board with the Khalistan movement? They did that, right? That's, they also use some nuance in that people living in Punjab are less likely to be pro-Khalistan because things are far more stable right now than they were in the 80s under Indira Gandhi. Like, they literally, they said that back then. Yes, your insane BJP supporter is called a Sanghi, and they're basically hogs. Motherfuckers just talking shit. There's a literal political party in Punjab which used to advocate for separatism democratically, and they keep losing elections. Khalistan was absolutely an AstroTurf movement. Also, you jumped the gun here. Trudeau is alleged but provided zero proof. Also lied in Congress that the guy was Canadian. This is a really funny take, though, because it's like, brother, if the head of immigration and, like, the head of the nation is saying that the guy is Canadian, then he's fucking Canadian. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, why do you, a guy in fucking India, claim to know more about this dude's immigration papers than the motherfucker who's in the government? Like, what are you saying? Like, that is a wild fucking take, dude. Okay? That's actually a wild take. It's like, nah, man, Justin Trudeau is lying. Like, what do you mean he's lying? It's like one of those situations where I feel like if Trump says a classified document while he's president is now declassified, it's fucking declassified. Like, he's the president. You know what I mean? Also, let's say he's not a Canadian citizen, okay? Let's say he's full-blown Indian, okay? And he's just, like, illegally living inside of Canada. Does that allow the Indian government to assassinate him? Like, what the fuck? What is this take? What the absolute fuck is that take, man? Just really reconsider what you're saying, just for, like, a brief moment, okay? Also, really reconsider that I forgot to run the top of the hour ad break originally when I got fucking debated by the chat. Yeah, here's the Minister of Immigration for Canada confirming he got a citizenship in 2015. Meanwhile, people are like, nope, doesn't matter. That's not real. Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. I can confirm that Hardeep Singh Nijjar became a Canadian citizen on March 3rd, 2015. I hope this dispels the baseless rumors that he was not a Canadian. And motherfuckers are like, nah, he's lying, dude. Yeah, no, he did. He fucked me up. That chatter fucked me up. But don't get fucked up by the top of the hour ad break by subscribing for $5 or for free. read my last two chats. If you're interested in exposing Chad to Indian brain rot, feel free to hit me up. I already sent you DMs. I love how you're finally seeing the Sangis in your chat. I've known about these motherfuckers for a while. Also, read my last chat. There's also some nuance in that people living in Punjab are less likely to be pro-Khalistan. I already read that one because there's more stability. Yeah. Isn't it funny that India inherited the British Empire territory claim against China? I mean, wasn't also the British involvement wasn't British involvement a big part of why the caste system was re-solidified and made stronger than ever before in India? Like, that's not surprising at all. It happens all the time. The people utilize prior constructs. People utilize prior constructs that imperial powers were using. I keep forgetting to fucking hit the 3-minute ad break here. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. Although the assassination shouldn't have remotely happened, India claims Canada provides shelter to Khalistani terrorists, and most Punjabis don't even want Khalistan, only a few ones funded by different groups. Yeah, I feel like, first of all, I'm just going to say that these guys, they have kind of a cool, graphic design is my passion vibe going here, okay? Also, it says Khalistan Tiger Force, but the fucking thing is a lion. What's happening there? Why is the logo a lion and not a tiger if it's the Khalistan Tiger Force? That part is really interesting. I don't know what happened there. Like they went with like the MGN collab with Aaron and no. I will. I'm gonna call you in a second if you wanna talk. Just send me a DM on Discord and I'll bring you in, okay? But before we do that, I am going to finish this video while I go pee.
The allegations and the rebuttal from India we've also had on the ground. Canada's expelled a senior Indian diplomat. India's done a tit for tat as well, has said they're expelling a senior Canadian diplomat who they say have 5 days to leave the country. The free trade agreement that was being discussed between these two countries, that was suspended a while ago, again, because of these tensions. So, the turn it's taken today, it's been a long time, I think, that India-Canada ties have been at this stage.
And is there any indication from the Canadians as to what information, what knowledge, what insight they have to make these allegations?
Well, so if you listen to Prime Minister Trudeau's statements, he has hedged himself. He says that Canadian intelligence are investigating credible allegations of a potential link. So he's used the word investigating, he's used the word potential as well. So no evidence provided yet as to what specifically these links are. He said that he expects full cooperation from Indian authorities to investigate these links. He's also said that he's shared this information with allies without mentioning who specifically he's talked to about it, but there are reports in Canadian media that he discussed it potentially with President Biden and with Prime Minister Sunak as well. India has been raising concerns about the Khalistan movement and leaders of the Khalistan movement, not just with Canada, but with other countries where there are sizable Sikh populations, like the UK and Australia as well.
Thank you so very much.
Americans are so oblivious to this shit because, like I said, if you're from a country where, this goes back to my same take, like if you're from a country where you don't know that the P word is a bad word to say, Pakistan shortened word is a bad word to say, you just are completely oblivious to this because you don't have a sizable Indian population or a sizable Pakistani population. In Discord, getting ready. Where are you? Just DM me. I haven't seen your DM. My Discord is so crazy because there's just motherfuckers watching like a football match right now in the sports channel. Thousands of people. What the fuck's going on in my Discord at all times? I never know. They're just watching footy. They're not even fans of the broadcast. They're just they love the the footy part of this community, which is weird because like I never talk about sports. Is your Hasanabi is your bro energy? UEFA Champions League is back, baby. Your Discord is one of the most active Discords I've ever seen. I know, it's fucking terrible. That's why this community is cancerous in many ways, okay? But yeah, I don't know why or my man has not DM'd me on Discord at all. I don't know why. This community was like this before. I called you just now. Bro, you are literally talking to someone else, okay? Because you did not call me at all. I'm telling you right now, you think you're talking to someone, but you're not talking to me. I'm just letting you know. You have never sent me a DM. Send one of the mods your okay, I'll wait in VC or something. No. Send one of the mods your Discord username and you know, hashtag and whatever, and I'll add you. But I think you're talking to an imposter, my friend. What the fuck is this person? There's no quicker way to get blocked than fucking trying to call me while I'm trying to talk to someone, by the way. Straight up. Like, you're insta-blocked. Dumbass. Insta-blocked. Straight up. No quicker way to get blocked than trying to fucking talk to me while I'm trying to figure out where this dude is. Oh, okay. Here, I'll just add friend, and then you can call me directly. There it is. Okay. Boomer. Here you go. Here you go.
Can you guys hear me?
Everyone can hear you, but I think there was a little bit of an echo at first. Hold up.
I'm lowering my volume right now.
No, it's all, you're good now. Hold on. Let me.
You want me to turn on my camera or not?
Yeah, turn on your camera. I'm gonna turn it on in here, so that, and then pop it out. There it is. All right, turn on your camera as well.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Nice beanie.
Thank you. Got the idea from a certain streamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The impact that I've had on online discourse is pretty devastating.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, what you do, and then we'll get to talking about India.
Yeah, so no problem. So my name is I do not know. For those of you who don't know. By the way, I do not know. Anna is literally older brother in Tamil. So even my name, yeah, Anna is literally older brother in Tamil.
That's sick.
So it's the same exact concept as Hasanabi.
Okay, love that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so it's
fire.
literally like I've marketed myself as like the Indian version of you, literally.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully your Indian haters are not as vicious as my American hog haters.
They're worse. They're worse.
Okay.
They're absolutely fucking worse.
Damn, this guy's good.